Hi, Jim Benson here from Personal Kanban and Modus Cooperandi. And this year at the Shingo Institute Conference in Sandusky, Ohio, we'll be giving a workshop on managing knowledge work in Lean and specifically using our Personal Kanban technique to do so. So when we say Lean for knowledge work, what is it that we're really talking about? So knowledge work, which is a great deal of the work that's done today, is work that is done by people with their heads. The primary means of production is our brains. And so we're not using machines. We don't have a lot of equipment. We're actually creating stuff directly from our minds. And that tends to have some interesting side effects. So the biggest one is that our work is actually invisible. And so, when we're working on a tangible product, we can see the parts that go into that system or into that product. We can see the people who are making that product. We can see the workstations. We can see where the final product is stored. And we can start to manage inventory based on sight. We're able to see and appreciate the weight and the gravity of the items that we're storing because we're actually able to see them. With knowledge work, most of the work is invisible. That makes it very difficult to see, which means it's very easy to amass huge amounts of work inventory and have no idea that that's actually happened. That brings with it not only the usual variation that we see in manufacturing, but there's also natural variation in knowledge work because you're interacting a lot with other people. They're inventing things, you're inventing things. You become inspired at different times. You have meetings at different times. All of these things create a lot of interruptions, a lot of unplanned tasks, a lot of variation. It makes scheduling and estimating extremely difficult, as we see with IT departments or with marketing or with sales campaigns. And the context in which those campaigns or those products are being developed is changing rapidly. The marketplace is changing rapidly. Things are changing rapidly internally and externally. We need to develop processes for managing knowledge work that are flexible enough to deal with the variation, to deal with the context changes, and to deal with the individuals who are working on them. So it would be helpful if we had some sort of framework then to be able to manage our knowledge work and our knowledge workers. In order to control knowledge work and knowledge workers, in the past what we've tried to do is come up with very rigid plans for what they would do. We would plan up front exactly what their product would look like. We would schedule out milestones in Gantt charts, and we would basically take a big batch approach to trying to solve the problem. We would basically try to legislate it away. What we found over time is, of course, we very rarely make our numbers. We don't make our schedule. We don't make our budgets. We don't get things out effectively. And when we do get them out, strangely enough, they've changed. This is natural. This is good. This is exactly what we want in knowledge work. And Lean can still help. There's a lot of different Lean techniques that we use on a daily basis with knowledge workers, but by and large what we do with organizations initially is we give them 2 quick rules of personal Kanban, and you'll recognize both of them. The first one is to visualize our work, to set up some visual control because we can better manage what we can see. As long as knowledge work is invisible, it will be nearly impossible to manage. We want to manage the work. Oddly enough, when you can manage it, it actually becomes more fun because people aren't overloaded. And when they're overloaded by this invisible work, they haven't limited their work in progress. So that's the second lesson here, is to always limit your WIP because we can't do more work than we can handle. Very easy to see what happens quality-wise on the shop floor in that case, but in knowledge work, it's very insidious. Problems in knowledge work show up long after the product has been released. So we want to be able to start seeing those sooner by giving people better ability to focus on what they're working on by limiting their WIP. So very simply, this is the personal Kanban kind of archetype of a board where we have we've talked about these things and we're about to do some other work, so we will pull it into our doing column here. Right now I'm going to describe for you what the value stream is. Here we see it's ready, doing, and done. That value stream can obviously become much more complicated than that, but what we want to do is for knowledge workers actually show them how their work goes from their station on through the rest of the other stations, so they're aware of the context of their work and they can better create work to be consumed downstream. Also, so that they can see upstream and see what's coming towards them so they know what to prepare for. We see here have a WIP limit. We have a work in progress limit of 3, and we want people to be able to focus on their work. So now we see that the WIP limit is filled up, and now we're going to overload it. When we overload it, there's a moment of panic where we see that there's some reason why we've overloaded the WIP limit, and now we can deal with that. So we do some work, that goes away, and all is well with the world again. So if you come to this course, we're going to cover the mechanics of how to manage knowledge work, how we've worked with companies, Fortune 10 companies, large government agencies, startups, everything in between, very old manufacturing companies, etc., to help lean out the knowledge worker side in a healthy way, just like we've leaned out the shop floor. We'll talk about why psychology is so important. So Deming's 4th portion of his theory of profound knowledge is an understanding of psychology. In knowledge work, psychology is incredibly important. We'll talk a lot about that. And we'll talk about setting up systems that will create quality knowledge work that will be more predictable, less chaotic, and much more enjoyable to work in. So we're looking forward to seeing you all there, and hope you all have a good spring.